Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Inspire and Lead podcast. I'm Nagam Al-Samari, your host, and today we are talking with Jerome Maben. Jerome is a Toastmaster, and he loves talking about being a Toastmaster. That's all he talks about. In fact, I just learned that he has been in real estate as a licensed real estate sales marketing professional for 21 years. He has so much experience to share with us. And he actually works on mentoring and coaching other real estate agents. How amazing is that? So Jerome, he is a Toastmaster, like I mentioned before. He holds the district leadership position as District 28 Club Growth Director, what he does is he helps other clubs actually come about, start out, and grow into the wonderful Toastmaster clubs they are, and help all these people into getting these leadership skills, public speaking, and He's also responsible for district marketing, including growth and retention. He is part of multiple clubs, including the Troy Community Toastmasters in Troy, Michigan. He's a VP, Vice President of Membership. He is with the Optimistic Orators Toastmasters in Royal Oaks and the Tunis Toastmasters in Tunisia, North Africa. How amazing. He's also a past division director in District 28, as well as past area director. He has so much experience, and he is here today, and he's going to talk to us about how are you doing all of this, and how is this related to leadership, because this is the leadership series in Inspire and Lead podcast. Jerome, thanks for joining. Welcome.
Thank you, Nagam. It's a pleasure to be with you today to talk about my leadership journey, my leadership experience, and most importantly, to give you some highlights about what effective leadership looks like.
Amazing. Thank you. And that's what I want to hear. You have extensive experience, not in just what you do, in your job, but also in Toastmasters. I really want to talk to you about Toastmasters and what that means and how that can help people. But I want to first hear about your journey in real estate. You're a real estate professional, and you've been doing this for 21 years. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do, first of all? What is it that you do and what you enjoy about it?
Thank you, Nagam, for the question. Yes, I've been involved in real estate sales and marketing for 21 years now. I started out as a salesperson at the ground level of real estate, learning and developing my skills as I moved along. When I started out, we had training that was necessary in order for you to develop after you receive your license. And then after that, you get into the process of practical application of everything that you learned from a legal perspective, from a customer service perspective, and from a knowledge perspective. And those are the areas that I've focused on over the last 21 years. And what I do is I'm a constant student. And in many circles, if you're in academia, you say that I'm a perpetual student. I never stop learning. How did I get here? I got here because one day I woke up and I said, I'm going to try something different. I was already working in a professional job at a major corporation in the area, and I had a little energy left that I wanted to try something new. And that's what led me to professional real estate sales and marketing. And the foundation upon which I'm built is I believe that customer is always first, customer is always right. If you serve the customer and you meet every need of the customer, you'll always get more than what you ever asked for. So what that led me to is once I developed the knowledge and skill, then I was called upon by others who saw a talent and skill in me to help train others and develop others to do the same thing. And today I'm responsible for mentoring and coaching new sales agents in my office. We have an office of 71 people approximately, and we have approximately 20 offices throughout Southeast Michigan, Lower Michigan, and West Michigan, and Northern Michigan. And within that realm, we're a huge organization in that we do almost $1 billion in business in that realm. And it's all about serving the customer needs and not focusing so much on my needs. My needs is to earn a living, but I've learned a valuable lesson over time, and it's a valued lesson. It's taught me that if you put your customers first and give them everything that they're looking for, everything that they're seeking as far as buying and selling real estate, then your needs will always be met.
Wow. You know, a lot of people talk about leadership in multiple different ways. And I hear it being said, like people say that you have to be born a leader, or you have to actually have the rank or the position to be a leader. Or some people don't think that they are leaders. They don't think they possess the qualities to be a leader. And I hear you talking about your profession, and not a lot of people actually talk about leadership when it comes to sales, when it comes to marketing. And it's really interesting hearing you say that you actually coach and mentor others. And it's even more so interesting hearing you say that it's about the customer. It's about, the people that you serve. And really, that's what leadership is about. It's influence. So in your day to day as a professional in real estate marketing and sales, what does your coaching look like? And how do you go about and help other colleagues get the best service? And does it involve practical experience, or is it just talking, going through the day? What does that look like?
Well, in my day-to-day interaction with people, once you develop the skill and you've gotten a license to practice, and the state of Michigan does require a license and requires you to have 40 hours of training. And then once you have the 48 hours of training, you sit for an exam. And if you pass with 70% or more, then you receive a state license. I don't focus so much on that. What I focus on is helping people develop a philosophy of real estate. A philosophy means that you learn the skills that are necessary in order to empower people, in order to influence and impact their decisions, and help them make smart and informed decisions. That's what I focus on. I don't need to teach them how to get a license again. Mm-hmm. I focus on developing a philosophy. And what's my philosophy? If you help more people get everything that they want, you'll never have to worry about what your needs are. I do this to earn a living, but I focus less on how much I'm going to get from the transaction, and I focus more on what will the customer get. And I'll give you an example. I'm currently involved in a transaction, and the transaction started over the weekend. So through the weekend, we've been going back and forth negotiating the transaction. Today, we reached a point where there was a counteroffer on the table. And my customer said to me, I'd like one more opportunity to take a look at this particular property before I make my decision. And you know what I said? Great, let's do that. Because if that's going to help influence your decision making, and it's going to provide you with information that will help you make the right decision, then I'm all for it. And the customer says to me words like this. And this is a modest transaction. I know this is not a big transaction for you, and I'm so sorry. And I said, guess what? You don't have to apologize, because my objective is to make sure that you get everything that you want. You make the most informed decision that you can make, and you get great value for your money. That's what I'm concerned about. Don't worry about what the impact is for me financially. Let's focus more on what it is that you need. And after that comment, she says, I thank you for that. I appreciate that. So let's do our tour. We did our tour. Everything checked out the way that she'd like for it to go. We made an informed decision, and we came back to the drawing board, and we made our final offer, and we've submitted it for approval. So worry less about me, more about the customer.
Wonderful. That's what leadership is. It's all about others. And I am hearing you talk about the customer and you work with them, and it just took me back years ago when we bought our first house and the feeling that comes with it. So it's important to have somebody who wants the best for you, the customer, and then that they have your interest at heart, your best interest at heart, and they're not just worried about what they're getting out of it. So that's really important. All right. Now I'm ready to navigate to Toastmasters because I know how passionate you are about growing these clubs, and you've actually been helping me organize a club in Dearborn, and your support has been amazing. So I want you to start by just sharing your journey with Toastmaster, how it all started, and how has it influenced your leadership style?
Thank you, Nagam, for the question. How did I start and how did it influence my journey through Toastmasters leadership? Back in 2012, I was responsible for consulting with a group of realtors that were learning new technology and how to best execute transactions using next generation technology. And at the time, it was widely known that many people were still stuck in the old way of doing things. That is, they wrote all of their transactions by hand. They use technology in a very limited way. And it's amazing how I always find myself in leadership positions and influencing others. Because I was consulting with a major company, the CEO of the company approached me and he says, Jerome, I think you would make a great trainer for my organization. Would you be inclined to support that initiative? And I said, yes. So for 5 years, I was a paid consultant in addition to a licensed real estate professional, consulting with agents on how to use next generation technology to more effectively execute their transactions. And he says to me, after a few months, he says, Jerome, I have this great organization that I've discovered that I would like to introduce to you. And I said, what is that? And he says, it's Toastmasters. There's a club in Troy that I've been attending the meeting. And he says that I think it would be very beneficial to you if you would attend a few meetings and perhaps join. And he says, by the way, I'll commit this to you. If you go and you check it out and you like what you see, I will pay for your membership.
Amazing.
With that, how could I say no? Even if I was reluctant about doing it, the opportunity for self-improvement really caught my interest and it inspired me to pursue it. So that was 2012. In September of 2012, I visited a club and I listened and observed and participated a little bit. And after the meeting, I was asked to join. And since I already knew that it wasn't going to cost me anything, that the company that I was consulting with, the real estate company, was going to cover my fee, I immediately filled an application. And from that journey as a member, through various leadership roles in the club, vice president of membership, vice president of public relations, and from that went directly to president. I didn't go through the 7 chairs. Someone saw within me the type of leadership that the club needed, and I was summoned into leadership. After a few years of holding office in club up to president and then becoming past president, then someone says to me again, Jerome, they need leaders at the district level, and I would like to recommend you. Would you consider? And I said, yes, I'll consider. So the next thing you know, I'm an area director for District 28, responsible for 4 or 5 clubs and about 60 members. After a few years of doing that, the next thing you know, Jerome, I think you'd make a great division director. And each one of these leadership roles is a position that's promoting me. A division director is responsible for multiple area directors and making sure that they have the support that they need in order to support their clubs. So from division leader, back to area leader, back to division leader, multiple times. Then I find myself being offered an opportunity. Jerome, I think you would be a great district director for District 28. And District 28 is at the time it was over 100 clubs and over 2,000 members. And I said, I don't think so, not right now. So next time around, Jerome, I think you would be a great leader still. Would you consider being the club growth director? And I said, what does that entail? That means being responsible for district marketing for all of District 28, 71 clubs, currently over 1,255 members, covering the areas of Northwestern Ohio, Southeast Michigan, and Southwest Ontario. That's my coverage area. And all during that time, my responsibility was to grow and increase the number of clubs in the district. This year, we started out with 64 clubs. Now we're at 71. We had less than 1,000 members paid. Now we're at 1,255. That's what leadership looks like. Why is that? And in the process, I'm still working on chartering other clubs. Right now, we have 22 clubs in the pipeline that I'm actually working on. We have 4 clubs that are ready to go through the step of chartering a club. So the way I got here is I said yes to a leadership opportunity from a person who had great influence. I took advantage of the leadership opportunities that were presented to me along the way. And I had great confidence that the people that were recommending me saw something in me that told them that I would be a great leader. And as a result of that, I'm here today because I've taken advantage of every opportunity to grow, every opportunity to experience other leadership roles within the district. And as a result of that, I'm on a pathway to increase the numbers in District 28 and continue to grow our district. And not only that, my responsibility is to make sure that we retain the clubs that we do have. So I work with area and division directors to make sure that they have the support that they need and the encouragement to get the needs met of the individual clubs. And even with the district directors and area directors, it's not about them. It's all about the clubs. The clubs are our customer, and we make sure that we provide the greatest amount of support that we can to help them achieve all that they want. And they told us one thing when they came in the door. I want to learn how to be an effective communicator. I want to learn how to be an effective leader. And this is a place for me to learn that. And the great thing about Toastmasters is it's an organization that's 100 years old, started in California. It's been around for a long time. It's trained millions and millions of people around the world in communities, in organizations, in nonprofits, in for-profits, etc. So my journey to where I am today is to take all of those lessons that I learned along the way, make it about my customer, make it about the people, make it about the clubs, and never about me. So therefore, I'm classified, and I'm classifying myself as a servant leader. I put the needs of the people before mine, and if the needs of the people are met, then all of the objectives and goals that I have set for myself will be achieved, and more.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you just reminded me, Toastmasters is celebrating 100 years. It's amazing, quite an achievement of leadership service. And one of the things you said that it just triggered emotions is the way you got to your many positions is by agreeing to them. One, by having people actually see the potential in you, recognizing that potential, and then by 2, by actually taking that risk and stepping up. Unfortunately, a lot of people have this fear that even when they get presented with opportunities of leadership, they have this fear keeping them in their place, keeping them where they are, and they're waiting for something to happen. I'm going to wait until I learn more about this position before I step into it. I'm going to wait until I get this degree, or I'm going to wait until I ask so-and-so. And sometimes these opportunities pass without having, taking them, unfortunately. And so, what you just mentioned. I love the experience you bring to the table, and what you have said about taking that risk, stepping up, and learning as you go, not waiting until that opportunity passes. And that's really important. As a leader, you have to actually learn to take risks. It becomes part of the job, to say. So in your experience in Toastmasters, I know there is, as a Toastmaster myself, since 2020, not as long as you have been, but I have enjoyed many great experiences and learnings in Toastmaster. And one of the things that, we work on is public speaking, obviously, and leadership. In what ways has your experience of public speaking through Toastmasters impacted your approach to leadership? So I'm going to shift a little bit. How, now that you're in Toastmasters and you've gone through some of the pathways, you've gone through the leadership opportunities that you have taken, how has that impacted your leadership approach into everything else that you do in life?
The first thing I'll say is the last thing that I said when I stopped, the last question. And that is, effective leaders are servant leaders. They serve the people first before they serve themselves. And you may have heard this adage, and it says, leaders eat last. Mm-hmm. Leaders eat last. And what that says is you make sure that everybody else is fed before you partake of whatever the meal is. And it's the same in leadership. So what I've learned from a communication standpoint is, one, develop a strategy for what you're going to say. Say it, and then summarize what you said, and always make sure that you have a message for people to take away from the things that you've said to them. And we call that a call to action, a call to order. The call to action is taking what you've learned and what you've experienced, and now taking that and applying it. And the reason why I share personal stories is because I want people to know that I'm a human, I'm part of the human race, and therefore there are lessons that I've learned that are valued lessons that I apply in leadership. What did Toastmasters teach me about leadership? What did it teach me about communication? What it taught me about communication is always have a message, and your message should have an introduction. It should have 3 or 4 main points that you're going to share, and it should have a summary and call to action. When I first started Toastmasters, my thoughts were organized, but sometimes I might go a little bit long. And now what I've learned is to manage my time. In Toastmasters, your speeches are timed. Any event that you do, your speeches are timed. So it's to teach you to be organized in your thought and be on task as far as what you're going to say and how long you present it. We find that the average person has an attention span of probably between 7 to 10 minutes. And what you have to do is make sure that you get the most impactful message out, and you get it out in the shortest amount of time. So that's what Toastmasters has taught me. What it's also taught me is it's taught me how to effectively lead others, how to run a meeting. So I've learned that a good meeting starts with not a bunch of conversation with a bunch of people. It starts out with an agenda. You always start with an agenda. And each item on the agenda should take a certain amount of time. And what we do with the agenda is make sure that we keep the meeting on target. So that's what Toastmasters has taught me. Organization. It's also taught me leadership. It's taught me how to lead a meeting, how to do it effectively, how to open up the meeting for ideas that might be diverse from yours. There's no reason why anyone should ever have a dispute, because it's all about a group of people listening and about a group of people doing. And many times what I find with people is that they spend more time worrying about what they're going to say next instead of listening to the other person's ideas. So I listen to all of the ideas, I get the best ideas possible, and then I ask permission to allow them to be used to improve our clubs, to improve our organization. Because guess what? I learned after going to school for over 25 years through high school, through an undergraduate education at a university, and again through a master's program at a university. I learned in all of those years of training and all of those years of education that I didn't know all of the answers. But here's the one thing that I do know is that it taught me how to do research. If I didn't know the answer, I knew how to find the answer. And I apply the same thing to my customers. If my customer asks me something, I always say, I don't know the answer, but I'll research it and I'll get back to you. Same thing with my customers in real estate. I don't know the answer, but I'll research it and I'll get back to you. And when I come back to them, I've done the research in order to give them an answer so that it inspires them to take the answer and apply it the best way that they know how. So organization, how to be timely, how to be an effective leader, how to be open to ideas, how to be an effective listener. Those are all of the things that I've used and applied to Toastmasters. And I applied the same thing to my sales and marketing career. I apply the same things to the people that I coach and mentor. I provide the same things to anyone that I come in contact with, even with my family and friends. They know me for being the type of person that's willing to listen, that always offers words of encouragement. And the last thing that I'll say is, in order to be an effective leader, you have to be an encourager. If you want people to follow you, you have to tell them that what they think and what they feel matters. And if they believe that they're important to you, they'll do whatever you ask and even more. And I always give kudos to my team. You've done a great job. I appreciate you. I can't do it without you. And I look forward to the great ideas that you bring forth, because I know the great ideas is going to help me be a more effective leader.
Absolutely. Praise is important everywhere. One of the things that I learned as a teacher, my first year teaching, actually, when I was asked a question I didn't know, I pretended that I knew because I didn't know any better back then. And then later on, and as I grew wiser, I'd like to call myself, I took that advice, and I don't know where I learned it or who said it to me, but I started actually using my students and saying, let's research this together. Let's use this opportunity to learn together, because I don't know the answer. And it grew into, a skill as a principal. I use that with my teachers, and they ask me questions and I say, I don't know. How about we find out? Does anybody know? Let's ask, our neighboring schools, or let me go find out from my superiors. Instead of giving any kind of answer or saying, I'll tell you later or something. It's really important to be transparent as a leader. So it's great that you mentioned that. And I love that you're bringing your experience into this, because it's important that individuals learn about leadership from the different perspectives, from different fields of view, and see that it is everywhere, and it doesn't matter what. And you said you even use those skills at home with your family members. Absolutely. The one thing I wanted to ask you, Jerome, you mentioned a lot of things, organizations, public speaking, leadership. And you mentioned a little bit about team dynamics, but I want to kind of dig into that even more. As a team leader, how do you what is your day-to-day like? How do you said you do encourage your team members, you praise, which is amazing, because celebrations of small and large things are really important. We need to identify those and celebrate them. How else do you how do you handle, being a team leader, managing your team? Maybe talk about in terms of delegation or opening up to questions. I know you also mentioned that speaking last at the table. That's very important as a leader. What else do you do as a team leader, as a team manager?
Thanks, Nagam. That's a great question. What do I do as a team leader when I'm responsible for managing a team? I make it about the team. I don't make it about me. We talk about what the goals and objectives are for the team. In Toastmasters, we set a goal this year that we were going to increase our membership. How do we increase our membership? By sponsoring clubs. So guess what? I have a person that's called an extension chair, and their responsibility is to coordinate all of the leads and all of the feedback that we get from people that are sponsoring clubs. And you know who the extension chair is, Kim Kensler-Prager, and that's her job. So I allow her to be creative and use whatever technique she needs in order for that. And then I have a second person that's responsible for mentors. And that person is Tammy Rivas. And Tammy Rivas' responsibility is to make sure that she identifies people that can be effective mentors that's going to be available to support our clubs. And then the last part, this is the bigger challenge of our team. I have a club retention chair, and that's Kim Perowit. And her responsibility is making sure that she provides coaches for those clubs that are challenged. So in every phase of my work, I'm effectively leading by delegating responsibilities. And I'm open and receptive to all great ideas from people that are members of my team. And I never take the approach that it's my way or no way. I take the approach that let's take all of the great ideas that we have, let's put them together, let's talk through them, and find out which ones are best, and then apply those to our objectives. Our objectives is to grow clubs and to spread the word about what Toastmasters is all about. So I allow my entire team, we meet twice a month, and during that meeting, first we look at where we are to get an understanding of what we need to work on. We look at clubs that are challenged. We look at clubs that are on application to organize. And once we identify all of those clubs, then we develop a strategy to follow up. And then the last thing is growth also demands attention for retention. How do you keep the clubs that are challenged? How do you keep the clubs that are low in energy and low in numbers? How do you keep the clubs that may have a conflict at the club? So as a team, as a leadership team, we talk about what all of the needs are, and then we develop strategies based on the ideas and feedback that I get from my team members, and we take that same information and we apply it. So it's not Jerome's ideas. I'm leading the team, but my job is to make sure that I allow them to grow and excel in the areas that they are expert in. Maybe they're better at research. Maybe they're better at coming together and meeting with clubs that are challenged. And from this initiative, guess what else we did? We identified a way to inspire and uplift those clubs that are not doing so well. And we called that the Club Visitor Network. And that's an idea that came from our team. And they asked me about it, and I said, sure, let's try it. What does that mean? It means a group of us volunteering to meet with clubs on a regular basis to bring energy, and not only just participate to observe, but also be present to take on roles and responsibilities in the club meeting, and to visit as many clubs as we can. So if the numbers are low, the Club Visitor Network is a way to get at that. And these are all ideas that came out of the club growth experience, because I told them that whatever great ideas you have, we're going to listen to them, and we're going to take the best of those ideas and apply them. And so far, I'm seeing positive results from that initiative. But it's all about the team. It's never about me. I'm the leader. I might be in front, but sometimes it's important to lead from behind. Allow your leaders to be leaders and develop their unique skills to help the district and the district's mission, and that is to grow clubs. We grow clubs, and our responsibility is to make sure that the clubs are excellent in every way.
And that's exactly why you need a team, is to have you. I don't know where I heard this. I think Simon Sinek had a presentation, probably YouTube, and he said that unfortunately we hire brilliant minds, bring them to companies only to tell them what to do. And what ends up happening is nobody works to their potential. So teams are meant to actually work on what they're gifted in. Everybody has their own gift that they present and bring to the team. And that's what makes up a team. Amazing answer. Thank you so much, Jerome. Unfortunately, our time has run out, but I want, first of all, everybody you mentioned, I've met already, and they're super amazing team. Kim Kessler-Prager has been just amazing behind the scenes. She's been providing me with everything I need to get the club started. Tammy, I met because she actually talked to me about getting my DTM. So, I'm trying to work on that. She was so flexible and just trying to, give me all the information. And Kim Pruitt, I met at the demonstration meeting, which, you guys all were there and excelled at. And I thank you so much for all your support. But I do want to hear one last words from you about leadership. If you are, giving a quick message to those who are aspiring to be leaders, what would that message be?
Be servants, serve the people. And if you serve the people, you'll be a much more effective leader. Give lots of praise, give lots of ear to listen, to hear what great ideas there are. Because if you listen long enough, you'll get some great ideas that you can apply. So yes, I may be in the leadership role, but I'm not dictating what creativity looks like. I'm not dictating what leadership looks like. I'm not dictating what success looks like. And the last time I checked, I only had 2 hands. So it's better for me to delegate and allow the creativity for the other team members to flourish. And you know what I see, Nagam, is I see leaders within my team that after I've moved on to my next leadership challenge, they'll be taking on additional roles and responsibilities as a result of the relationship that we built together. Being a servant leader, being a great listener, listening to great ideas and applying them where it's appropriate, and not being the person who has to be always in charge.
Amazing. Thanks for the message.
Collaborator. Be a
yes.
collaborator.
Yes. What is it? What does it say? Collaborate, compete with yourself, collaborate with others.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for the last message. Wonderful message about leadership. And thank you so much for everything you have said today. Great connection with leadership and what you do in everyday life and Toastmasters. You have been such a great a guest tonight. And thank you so much. And I hope that, I don't hope, because I know Toastmasters is going to grow even more with all the effort that you have been, doing with yourself and the team. Thank you so much, Jerome, for joining, and have a wonderful evening.
Okay, thank you for the invitation, and I look forward to future opportunities to talk about leadership.